Big Al's Rant with Cayden McFarland, powered by Jack Cassee Ford.
Hello, my friends. We are at halftime of the New England game with Cincinnati. New England leading at 20-3. Welcome to KJRH.com with Cayden McFarland, Al Jerkins. It's time to play the blame game. Who do we blame for OU's disaster yesterday at TCU? Many are voting for Katy Perry. She had to do it. She had to say she wanted a date with Trevor Knight.
That's distracting for a 20-year-old, let's be honest.
Be distracting for a 62-year-old.
If it was me in real life,
I'm telling you,
you'd be thinking about that. Now, what a bummer this is, right? I mean, we were already booking our trip for Pasadena or New Orleans. We thought OU was going 12-0. I know it.
Not so fast.
I know it. Did not see this coming. I didn't. Boys in Vegas did.
They did. We take a look at some of the highlights from the game yesterday, or lowlights for that matter. OU gets behind early. They need big plays to get back in it. The running game never materialized. Trevor Knight had his worst game in about 6, 7 maybe. What else happened in this game? The running game was horrible when it needed to be good. So much for the Earl Campbell comparisons to Samaje Perine.
Yeah, you're not going to run over TCU the way you did West Virginia. The thing that troubles me, even though it was pretty inconsistent the way they moved the ball and scored some points in the first half, they at least found a way to hit on some big plays and put some points on the board. Their last 8 possessions, it was like 93 total yards over the 8 possessions. The 2 turnovers, 4th and 1 you can't make deep in TCU territory. The offense was just brutal for about the last 25 minutes of this game.
A number 4 team in the nation, or a team that's supposed to be in the middle of the national championship picture, when given the chances to get the lead back after they gave it up, the defense played the worst game of the season.
This is where it started right here with the pick 6.
But they still had a chance, several chances after that to recover, and they didn't do it. Not getting a 4th and 1 with Perine was an example of how things were going for OU, and I don't know whether it was being unprepared, whether TCU just played the game of their lives. But this is what makes college football different than any other sport. If you have one mishap, there's a good chance you're out of the title picture.
With a 14 playoff, there's a little bit less of a good chance. If they can go 11-1. Now, here's the thing. I mean, that's really in question now. The way we saw them play yesterday, that now gives us evidence to wonder, will this team go 11-1? If they do, this is a pretty good loss to have because TCU's probably a top 25 team at the end of the year. It happens in early October, so earlier than later, that's good. It was a close game, and it was on the road. If OU goes 11-1, I'm quite certain they'll win the Big 12 if they do. They'll be in the title playoff picture. The question is, how flawed is this team? I mean, even if they do get to the playoffs, you don't want to be flawed at quarterback, which if he's going 14-35, he's not as accurate as you want.
Well, strangely enough, OU and TCU both need to root for Baylor to climb in the polls, as the coaches have done. Now, after these highlights, Cayden and I are going to give you our top 10, and then we're going to let you know how the coaches voted. And in my opinion, the coaches should be banned from voting in a poll. Now, if it counts in the final tally of the playoffs, the coaches should not be allowed to vote.
Yeah, and it's been that way for years. It was that way with the
To have Baylor number 3 over Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Mississippi State is an absolute joke because Baylor, in my estimation, is like 4.5-0 or 3.5-0 because they beat Northwestern Louisiana. Their non-conference was a joke. How the coaches, and I hope this is Art Briles that voted for his own team to be number 1 in this poll.
Somebody in the Big 12, surely.
Someone voted Baylor as the number 1 team in the nation. Somebody. And I'm praying that it's Art Briles because if any other coach voted for Baylor to be number 1, they need to be excluded from the poll from this point on because that's a disaster.
That's pretty bad.
All right,
how about the coaches having OU ahead of TCU still?
Correct. That's
that's
brilliant.
pretty bad right there.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty
They've got TCU 12 and they've got OU 9.
Yeah, and they've got Arizona behind Oregon as well.
Yes.
Arizona just went into Eugene and beat Oregon. Yeah.
All right, so Florida State is still your number 1. But Cayden and I compiled our own top 10. Cayden, would you like to begin?
Am I up first?
I believe so.
Let's throw that up
let's
because
see.
I can't even remember with the exception of the fact that I know I have Florida State 1. I have Auburn 2. They've been impressive. I know a lot of people have knocked Florida State, but I mean, they're still, even against NC State when they scuffled the other day, they scored like 60 points. So Florida State 1, Auburn 2. I don't know if I believe what I'm seeing with these Mississippi schools, but you can't argue with Mississippi State beating LSU and Texas A&M the way they did. Ole Miss, they beat Alabama. That was one of those magical days. They had been looking at this for, weeks, and it just one of those things. I don't think they're better than Alabama, but they beat them, so you put them up there. I have Notre Dame 5, which I think is maybe even lower than you. I'm the big Notre Dame fan. I got them 5. The first 4 games were pretty weak, but the Stanford win's good. Arizona, because they went on the road and won their big game ahead of TCU. It was an impressive win against OU. Alabama 8, Oklahoma 9, Michigan State 10. There's my top 10.
I'm looking at your top 10, and I'm immediately upset with myself. Because as we go to my top 10, now
Baylor!
I've got Auburn number 1, and I have Notre Dame number 4, and we're pretty much even on the rest of it. And I'm mad at myself for putting Baylor. I didn't have enough.
Just went on your diatribe about Baylor.
I didn't have enough guts to put Baylor at 11. And
they did just beat Texas, so in my mind, they're 1-0. Right. I don't know what they did for the first 4 games, but they're 1-0 now. Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, so there you have it. So we're both discussing with the coaches poll, and thank goodness that it doesn't count anymore.
Yeah.
It should not count.
What a crazy Saturday we had, right?
Well, you
Upset
knew
Saturday.
After what happened all day Saturday, I'm sitting home watching the late game, UCLA and Utah. You just knew UCLA was going to lose.
On it, yeah.
Because they had a chance to get into the top 5, maybe the top 4 with a win, and they lose. Now we're going to take a look at some video of
relive some of the craziness. It started with this. It actually started with Katy Perry telling Trevor Knight, call me, and then this fella, he's all turned around. He's looking the wrong. Yeah, that's right. I love how he gets all upset. Yeah. That's fantastic. There's Katy Perry in Oxford. That was in the morning. Later at night, she was less sober than that. There's internet evidence of that.
But she was sober when she said she wanted Trevor Knight to call her.
We think. I don't know.
Or maybe she was,
Bo Wallace, your game-winning touchdown. There's Bo being carried off. Ole Miss beats Alabama. What just a magical day there in Oxford. And then, of course, what happened in Fort Worth. Just a few minutes later, it's crazy how that happened. I mean, I was just about to go on set. OU had just lost, and, somebody tells me Alabama did too.
All right.
Blows my hair back. So you got 5 of the top 8 teams in the country going down for the first time in college football history. 5 of the top 8 all lose. First time ever. And then at night, Arizona State, the Hail Mary. Nobody in the Pac-12 can defend the Hail Mary. Our guy Todd Graham gets out of L.A. with a victory somehow.
Okay, so what team right now in the top 10 that remain undefeated do you think will be undefeated by the end of the season? Does Florida State have the best chance? Does Auburn have the best chance?
Just Florida State.
Just Ole Miss has the best chance?
No, Ole Miss has no shot. Ole Miss, Mississippi State will have a loss before the month is over. Notre Dame goes to Tallahassee. I love Notre Dame. I threw that highlight in just because I love them. There's no reason to show this to you right now.
But when I walked in here tonight, Cayden was watching this game.
Rewatching it. I'm breaking down film.
5th time.
Just in case Brian Kelly needs a couple of tips. I'm looking at it. No, I don't think Notre Dame beats Florida State. I think Florida State is the only team in the country that's going to go undefeated. And they get help there. If they were playing in the SEC, I don't think there's any chance they'd go undefeated. The ACC helps them.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the top 10 from the SEC.
The way it's going, there's a really good chance you'll have a 2-loss SEC team in the 14 playoff. I really think that's true. I don't see how a Pac-12 team escapes with only 1 loss. It looks to me like all of those teams are flawed enough that they'll beat up on each other. Everybody's going to have 2 losses. Big Ten, they're just not going to have any quality wins. Michigan State, if they, with 1 loss, now maybe Michigan State's in the picture because I think the Oregon loss is pretty good, and they've got some street cred with winning the Rose Bowl.
What hurts Oklahoma is the remaining schedule. Is it going to be tough enough for them to be one of those 1-loss teams? So
they're 11-1. I like their chances.
Well, they have to hope that Baylor wins the rest of their games.
Yeah, or goes 10-2 or something like that. Look, if Oklahoma goes 11-1, I think there's what I would say right at this moment a very good chance they make it into the 14 playoff, but not just a great chance. You don't think so?
No, I really
don't. So you think like
I think this game is
Notre
going to be
Dame.
really ugly.
Let's say Notre Dame loses to Florida State. They go 11-1. Do they get in ahead of Oklahoma?
Yes.
11-1.
Yes, because I think their schedule is going to. Now, again, but it all centers on what Baylor does.
So you think this was killer?
This was really close to casket.
I just think so many teams are going to lose 2 games. I think that I think OU's probably one of them. I think OU might end up losing 2 games. But if they do get to 11-1, I just don't think there are going to be very many teams that are 11-1 at the end of the day.
Did we get on OU's case enough, or do we?
We can do it some more, absolutely.
Okay, we'll come back. We need to take a quick break.
Let's talk OU.
And we'll talk OU and a little bit OSU when we come back as well. So stay right where you are. We'll be right back.